Hello, I'm wbz-tv meteorologist Barry Burbank. I have your forecast for the next several days. And first, we're going to talk about perhaps the summer before we get more specific in the short term. And just a review of the number of 90-degree days that Boston has had over the last few years. Last year, we were forecasting, I forecast 14. We ended up with 12. In 2016, I forecast 22. Good guess, I guess. We had 22. And then in 2015, it was forecasting, I think it was close to 14. Back in 2014, I forecast 9. We got 8. That's pretty much when I started doing this. Back in 2013, we had 18. Actually, back in 2010, we had a whopping 25. So those were El Nino years when we had the highest number of 90-degree days. 2010 was one of those years. 2016, we had that as well. And so now we're looking at a situation which would favor, based upon all the global factors that we look at analog years and see what's happening all across the globe, the sea surface temperatures in the Pacific and the Atlantic, etc., would deliver this kind of summer to us. Near to slightly above average rainfall. That seems like a bit of a cop-out, but right now it doesn't look like we're going to have lots of rain and a cool, wet summer. It does look like we're going to have some good times. It looks like we're going to have near average temperatures this summer. It's not going to be a terribly hot summer the way it looks right now, because we're in what we call a La Nina situation. We've had that over the past year. And the La Nina is in a weakening mode right now, destined to become sort of what we call neutral in the El Nino Southern Oscillation setup in terms of La Ninas and El Ninos. It looks like we're in a neutral zone, going into a neutral zone and perhaps blossoming or heading toward another El Nino. Whether that's going to be strong or not, it looks like it's probably not going to be as strong as one we had back in 2016. But anyway, it looks like, with all this in mind and a lot of other factors too, it looks like near average temperatures this summer. It looks like the warmest part of the summer will be the first part of the summer, early in the summer. And remember last year in September and October were unusually warm and humid months. It was really a crazy early fall last year, but it looks like definitely a flip this time, cooler for September and October. Now, number of 90-degree days in Boston for 2018. A little drum roll, please. We can hear that in the distance. Can we hear that? I think you can hear that one. Anyway, it looks like the average number of days of 90 or higher in Boston is 15. This year, I'm going for 12. Not going to be a huge number like I was forecasting back in 2016. Not going to be a very low number like I was forecasting back in 2014. It's sort of going to be a little bit below the average, which is 15. So that's what I'm looking at this point. We've already had our first 90-degree day. That happened last Thursday. That generally happens the first 90-degree day, on average, June 8th in Boston. The first 90-degree day last year happened on May 17th, so of course we've been a lot earlier this year. The last 90-degree day we had in Boston was last August 22nd at 91 degrees. And by the way, those years which had the earliest 90-degree days on record, in the number one slot for the earliest 90 degrees in a season in Boston on April 7th of 2010, and that was the year we had 25 days. And the second slot in April 17th, 2002, it hit 93. That's the second earliest occasion of a 90-degree day in any season. And in 2002, we had 27 days over 90 degrees, a really hot summer. In 1976, it was 17 days. And in the fourth slot, we have 1962. That came in with only 5 days. So there are a number of factors that influence this, but here we are sitting in a number 7 slot in terms of the earliest 90-degree day in Boston. May 3rd was last week. So May, so far, the first 5 days, all red squares and an amazing mean temperature of plus 14.1, but of course that'll change. It isn't going to be that warm the rest of the month, and certainly today will not be, as it's mostly in the low and middle 60s most of the day, holding about steady, fluctuating a degree or two through the day. And a lot of the rest of the nation knows there's a lot of 80s out there, but unlike last weekend when I was forecasting we were going to have some pretty hot weather on the way, this week we will not have hot weather, but eventually we will have some nice warm weather like we had yesterday when it was so beautiful in the 70s. But first things first, this storm down the coast has to come on up. It looks like we'll be scraped by it, maybe on the northwestern fringe, as its plume of rain is going to just scrape by us. Initially this morning, we've had some scattered, mostly light showers, not amounting to too much. Once in a while, it comes down a little heavier but not long-lasting heavy rains. It's kind of fluctuating, but most of it is light. Then that area to the south will blossom northeastward and cut across southeastern Massachusetts with this moderate, perhaps briefly heavy rain later this afternoon. Note the timestamp up here, 5 p.m. We get into the evening hours, it's pretty heavy, especially near the eastern part of the Cape, moves offshore. There are still some leftover lingering lighter showers off to the northwest. It'll be in the 50s for lows tonight. Then we start to get better weather tomorrow, and I'm not exactly sure if it's going to completely clear out. Areas farther north and west should clear out and have nice sunshine tomorrow. It's southeastern sections where it's a little bit questionable at this point. And on Tuesday, it's a little bit questionable as well how much cloudiness might be in here in eastern sections too. But at least the dry air will be taking over for the most part. As far as rain goes, looks like it's going to be the heaviest off the northwest, a little strip in here, and another strip on the Cape, which may have up to an inch of rain there, but in between just a few tenths. So we'll condense it down to a short-term forecast, unlike the full forecast I just gave you for the summer. Here's the next 7 days showing that we'll have a changeable amount of cloud cover in the region tomorrow and Tuesday, and it's going to be cooler at the coast, only in the 50s there, while it gets into the 60s in far metro west westward. Then on Wednesday and Thursday, we have more substantial sunshine, sending temperatures in the middle 70s, but once again at the coast, it'll be in the lower 60s on Wednesday, and south-facing coast will be cool on Thursday. We won't have much wind this week until we get to Thursday when it spikes up a bit. So that's your forecast for the week. And you can watch WBZ News tonight at 6:30 and 11 o'clock. You can also see it at 8 o'clock on My TV 38. Have a nice rest of the weekend.